All right, let's just forget everything you think you know about stable ground. We are heading to the Arctic, a place where the map of the world is literally being redrawn by melting ice. And look, this isn't just some story about a remote, frozen wilderness. This is a live preview of the challenges we're all about to face. Why? Because the rules being invented in the ice today, well, they might just be the rules we're all living by tomorrow.
Okay, so first things first, we have to understand that the Arctic isn't a fixed place. Not anymore. It's a frontier that is in constant, chaotic motion. You've got ice fracturing and drifting, coastlines just crumbling into the sea. Even the permafrost, the permanent frost, is collapsing. It's a place where the very ground beneath your feet simply refuses to hold still.
So think about it. What's the most fixed point you can imagine? The North Pole, right? It's a coordinate. It's stable. But what if it wasn't a point at all? What if that stable spot we all learned about in school was actually a moving target? Well, in the Arctic, that's not some hypothetical question. That's the reality they're dealing with right now.
And this is where it gets really interesting. The source material suggests there isn't just one North Pole. There are at least 9. Sure, you've got the geographic one, but you also have the magnetic pole, which is, constantly wandering. Then there's a legal pole based on who claims what part of the seabed, a military pole for defense strategies, an economic pole driven by new shipping routes, and even an indigenous pole defined by centuries of ecological memory. Power here isn't fixed in one spot. It's this constant negotiation between all these shifting centers.
And the pace of this change, it's just staggering. This number really says it all. Between 1979 and 2021, the Arctic has warmed up nearly 4 times faster than the global average. And in some specific spots, it's up to 7 times faster. This isn't a slow melt, folks. This is a rapid, system-wide transformation happening in real time.
This quote really just gets right to the heart of the whole challenge. The ice, the law, and the legitimacy are all in motion, forcing us to improvise. You see, the physical instability, the melting ice, it forces political instability. It means everyone up there has to invent new rules and new ways of governing completely on the fly. So, how in the world do you govern a place like this? Well, this kind of instability, it demands a completely new definition of power. It's not about planting a flag somewhere or drawing a neat line on a map. No, in the Arctic, power is presence. It's all about who is physically there, operating, day in and day out.
And that brings us to this really crucial concept, the post-territorial frontier. Just think about what that means for a second. It's a space where all the old rules about territory and inheritance, they don't apply. You can't inherit a claim on land that's literally melting into the sea. You have to invent your claim, and then you have to keep reinventing it over and over again.
What I love about this is how clearly it shows the shift. Old power was simple, right? You just draw a border on a map and you're done. But the new power in the Arctic, that's about laying undersea fiber optic cables. It's about operating icebreakers. It's about setting the norms for how things get done up there. It's about building the systems that everyone else is forced to use.
So, the key principle here is this idea of sovereignty by infrastructure. Every single icebreaker patrol, every remote research base, every autonomous drone flying a surveillance route. That's not just an operation, it's a political claim. Presence equals power, and in the 21st century Arctic, infrastructure is presence.
And here's the wild part. A lot of that presence isn't even human. The Arctic is fast becoming a robotic frontier. You have autonomous systems surveying the seabed, you've got cryobots exploring under the ice, AI monitoring the thawing permafrost, and remote sensors enforcing the rules. I mean, in a place that's just too harsh for permanent human settlement, machines are the ultimate force multipliers. When people can't hold the frontier, the robots do.
And all of this, well, it leads to a race. Of course it does. With a new frontier up for grabs and a whole new rulebook to be written, you get a crowded field of nations and groups all trying to shape this emerging world to their advantage. They're all placing their bets on what the future of the Arctic is going to look like.
So, who's on the ice? Well, you've got Russia, which is all about energy and controlling the northern sea route with its massive fleet of icebreakers. Then there's the US and NATO, focused on something called domain awareness, which basically means just knowing what's happening up there. You've got China, calling itself a near-Arctic state, trying to build a polar Silk Road through a ton of strategic investment. And crucially, you have the indigenous nations, who aren't pursuing control, but stewardship. And their key tools are legal legitimacy and a deep, deep ecological knowledge. And we really need to pause and talk about this indigenous governance model because it is just radically different from the others. While states are focused on short-term extraction and control, this model is rooted in long-term stewardship. It's based on centuries of lived experience passed down through generations. It's focused on sustainability, on cultural survival. You know, in a world that's becoming more and more unstable, this might be the Arctic's most durable and most important innovation.
Okay, so let's zoom out, because this is where it all connects back to every single one of us. Everything we've been talking about, the shifting ice, the new rules, this race for presence, it is not just some remote curiosity. I promise you, what happens in the Arctic will not stay in the Arctic.
If you take away just one thing from this explainer, let it be this. The Arctic is a rehearsal space. It's a live preview of the challenges our entire planet is about to face. Everything from climate volatility to figuring out how to govern new frontiers where the old rules have just completely collapsed. It's a prototype for managing instability.
So why does this really matter to you, wherever you are? Well, because new Arctic shipping lanes could totally reroute global trade, sidelining places like the Suez Canal. The legal precedents being set for the Arctic seabed, they could be used to govern the deep oceans and even outer space. The warming there is destabilizing global weather patterns, and the models of governance being forged in the ice, whether they're cooperative or competitive, they will be exported to other unstable frontiers all over the world.
I want to leave you with this final thought from our source, because it really captures the stakes here. The physical ice might be melting away, but the legal, the political, and the technological frameworks we are building in its place right now, those are going to shape our world for generations to come. The rules we write in ice will outlast the ice itself.